Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. We are back with IncrediChat. It's been a few months. It's been a busy few months. We already did some of the area where we've been doing our thing. Hey, already got some folks coming in here. But let's go live. We're going to be live. We're live here tonight on both Instagram and we are live here on YouTube and Facebook. So let me bring in our guests. We're talking cosplay tonight. GMX Cosplay is already watching. Welcome to the podcast or the chat, whatever tonight. Blunnderland. Hey, perfect timing.
Hey.
I got both. How's it? How are you doing tonight?
Doing good. Drinking a bang.
On one of these devices.
Hey guys.
So welcome. Just a little background. So I met you at Rhode Island, probably at 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So, which was cool, and we were just talking about our good buddy Marty Grabstein, who's the voice of Courage the Cowardly Dog. I remember, I believe you're dressed as Wonder Woman when we met you. But you're just
that
your personality.
Blew my brain that day, by the way.
You what's that?
I said that blew my brain, by the way, that day. I malfunctioned for the rest of the day.
So, and you had a fantastic Wonder Woman costume. And then for everybody who obviously is watching here and watching all of our places here, you do some amazing cosplay. But what I want to do is I want to ask you, how did you get into this world of cosplay? And I want to move into, aside from the world of cosplay, I mean, I think you have an amazing story because you tell me before you do some mentoring and stuff, but also you're a proud blurred, right?
Yeah.
And then you also are about cosplayers with disabilities, which I think is very, very powerful as well. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I've been cosplaying since high school. And that started with my friend Kristen Carton and Courtney Carton, her sister. We would go to Ren fairs and stuff, and she would make us duct tape corsets so we could not breathe. And she got us into anime, and there was J-rock and J-pop and the whole K-pop, J-pop world before it became this big thing that it is now, because I've been in this for, I'm going to be 35 in August, so 16, 17 years, if not more. And then obviously after high school, I had a kid my junior year. So I had to do things a little bit different. And then about 5-6 years ago, I started getting back into cosplay. My first con back was actually AutoCon in Baltimore. I did a horrible version of Storm. I still have pictures of it. I'm looking at it going, oh dear God, they were horrible. And then I just started I got into pinup, and then I got back into the cosplay through doing charity stuff. And I do a lot of charity stuff with Heroes of Tomorrow, which is where you'll see me dress up more often when con season's not going on. So that's how I started.
Nice. And obviously cosplay was a big part of it. Which fandom really was I know you talked about Storm, obviously, but which fandom is probably your most passionate thing to cosplay about?
Oh God, I can't do that. So there's two really big ones. So my first one, when I started really getting back into cosplay, was Jason Todd from Red Hood. I'm a huge Jason Todd fan. In my other room, it's all DC stuff, except this little Star Wars section. So I have starting with Death in the Family, which is where Jason Todd dies the first time. And then I have all the Red Hood and the Outlaws comic books in frames. So I really love Jason Todd for DC, but Marvel, it's Storm, because when I was growing up, I could not find a lot of Black representation in comic books, and everybody knew of Storm. My parents, my stepdad, who is my dad, he's raised me since I was 5, is Portuguese, so he's white. My mom's white. So they did their best to make sure that I knew I was represented in some way, shape, or form. And my dad owned a tattoo shop, and I just remember complaining that I couldn't find any Black women in comic books. My dad left for an hour, came back, dropped 20 comics in front of me and said, shut up and read. And it was the Uncanny X-Men with Storm and a Mohawk. So Storm has always been a soft spot in my heart because that was the first Black female representation that I had found. And then it was Nubia in the Wonder Woman comics, which is how Marty met me, because everyone thinks it's Wonder Woman, but it's actually Wonder Woman has a Black sister named Nubia.
Right. I'm sorry, I forgot about her.
No, it's totally fine. Everybody does. But like, so in the first comics, she was made from black clay, while Diana was made from white. In the new run that I have signed and hung up on my wall, and I'm actually going to be in the process of building soon, she comes from the Well of Souls, which is how most Amazonian women are born because they die from something and they're resurrected. And I got to meet Aletha Martinez, who is a woman of color who actually drew the new ones, and she signed all my comics. And I cried because she is a woman of color drawing a woman of color. Like I said, representation, no matter what nationality, race, disability, it's important. So finding things to connect with that and connecting and finding those small things that you connect within a character that you're cosplaying is huge. It's definitely a huge thing.
Yeah, and so let's just talk a little bit about that, the representation in there. I mean, obviously, we're now living in a time where we are seeing more representation in the world of superheroes and science fiction and just like everything, which I think is fantastic. And we're actually kind of rediscovering characters that went away for a while and resurgence. Like you talked about Nubia, for instance. I mean, the other characters that like kind of came to mind to me, which kind of came a little bit back into popularity, was Black Lightning and his daughters.
I did Black Lightning. I don't know if you ever seen it with Raymond Ramos cosplay. So he does Black Lightning. That's actually how I got into building. Is because Ray taught me how to build. My first big build was a so my deaf friends watching now. So I cosplayed Thunder. He taught me how to build it because we were building Thunder, and I was tagging Nafisa Williams, which is the actress who played her. She kept sharing, and then there's a comic. There is not a comic convention, but there is a Black convention in New York. It's called oh my God, Demetrius.
Down in Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's ran by Demetrius. I've only been once, so I forget the name. Oh shoot! But it has like all martial artists from Black backgrounds, Asian, but it's like Urban Action Showcase.
Okay.
But she was there, and he brought us out to New York to actually meet her, and I was dressed as Thunder, and it was the most intense moment was meeting the actress. And she's like, "Your cosplay is the closest I have ever seen to my cosplay," and like my brain blew because it was her. And beside her was Michael Jai White, who's done Spawn. I've watched Spawn the movie 500 times as a kid, so
yeah,
it was intense. But yes, I actually do cosplay Thunder. I wore her once to Rhode Island. That was a good year.
Yeah. You mentioned Nafisa Williams. I met her at the Great Philly Comic Con, and that first of all, Black Lightning, a phenomenal show.
I'm so mad
it's cut too short. And the entire cast was there. And I mean, talk about like a genuine group of people, I mean, of course, everybody was like going crazy for China Anne McClain because there's all the kids for Descendants. But
I cosplay Uma for kids' birthday party.
See, so you could double that, right? But yeah, I mean, just talking about fandom and representation, Black Lightning in particular, like that show showed so much.
And you had a Black gay woman, on air. That was huge. I mean, you had Orange is the New Black, but it was a Black gay superhero, so that was really cool. My daughter was obsessed because of that.
Yeah, no, just a great series, and just too bad that show got cut in its prime. They could have done a lot more with it. But again, representation, and you just mentioned that you have a friend, and unfortunately, I don't know, and I know very little sign, but you have a friend who Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about that, because you're a big proponent of representation, as a woman, as a woman of color, and of disabilities. Tell us a little bit about that storyline.
So I have multiple sclerosis. So sometimes my legs like to go on vacation and don't send postcards. So every once in a while you will see me. Actually, I hid it for quite a long time. You could only tell my close friends only knew. But I hid my disability in my cosplay. It wasn't until I talked to Phoebe Golaydown, I love you, Helium Cosplay, which was who you met in New Jersey. And he was like, just stop hiding because, like, I'm having a bad time. I ended up in the hospital a couple years ago after Rhode Island Comic Con for standing for the whole entire time. My legs were like, we can't handle this. So I now have a hip brace and it wraps around my hips, goes down my thigh, and it goes to my knee down to my ankle. So for PAX East, I was invited as a guest, and I did a panel on how to modify cosplays to fit your disability. And that was my first time wearing that brace out in public. I've worn it out in public with pinup because I could hide it underneath my skirt. And now I'm just like, if I need it, I need it. And it has lights, so I can change it to match my outfits. But as a disabled woman, you don't really see a lot of disabled people in video games or sometimes in comics or in anime. And when you do, they're usually the less desirable characters, or sometimes they're villainized. So being in the forefront and being visible is prominent. Like my friend Maggie, who is on here right now, I think she's doing a panel this weekend with Helium Cosplay on disabilities as well. And I don't see being deaf as a disability. I think sign language is beautiful. For me, it's the same as dancing with your hands. I met Maggie because of my work. I work at BCC as a art model, and she's one of my students that goes in there and draws. So we became friends through that. I understand a little bit of sign, not a lot. She laughs at me all the time because I tell her, I'm like, my sign is bad. It's bad. And she's like, you're fine. And I'm like, no, it's sign English. It's not sign language. And she's like, you're fine. We will sit there and talk for hours. We make fun of each other. It's just another way to communicate. I don't see her as disabled. She's a friend. She's a really good friend, even though she drives me nuts.
And so you talk about how cosplay, you're talking about disability and how you hit it. But the one thing that a lot of people, and I know one of the people watching GMX cosplay, my friend Anthony, who's in the audience tonight too, one of his big things that he talks about too. Oh, look, someone used your name. Chandra is
the one who says Raven Art. That's my deaf friend.
Oh, okay, cool.
And she's beautiful.
And then Jessica said they're gonna be teaching you sign too. There you go.
Yeah.
But cosplay is a world, and maybe you can speak to this too. Cosplay is a world that is fully inclusive. It's welcoming to everybody, every shape, size, gender, age. Right? I mean, you can have a 6-year-old woman dressed up as Wonder Woman.
I am all for it. Gender swapping, non-binary people, like making the characters more non-binary, making them more gender fluid. I love it. I love every aspect of the inclusivity. But a lot of people are afraid to do it because outside of cosplay world or our cosplay con, our little safe bubble, we have to face reality. And it sucks to say, but our world is not made for people with disabilities. It's very able-bodied. Like aisles at the mall, not having visual aids for people who are deaf or hard of hearing, or people that have the cochlear implant, things like that make things easier, especially, for communication. It's hard. Or even people with mobility devices or people who have sensitivity to light and sound are people on the ASD spectrum. So like the world is made for able-bodied people. And if your disability is not visible, people will then question your visibility. So within the realm of cosplay, I think it needs to be more visible to be more acceptable elsewhere.
Yeah, and it's a comfort zone because, like you said, people have to face the real world once they get back into it there. But the big thing is when you're cosplaying and this community, it's become something. I mean, I remember when I first started going to conventions, cosplay was just like a little tiny part of it, and like what we were waiting before, we're sitting here. Say it again.
So then you were a super nerd for doing it.
Cool. Well, this is right. I mean, like, God forbid you have action figures or comic books or video games like you have. Don't tell anybody about that because you're not the cool kid. Now all of us are the cool kids, right?
Yeah.
And when we go out there, and I think like with cosplay, how that has grown into such a way is like people are being booked as guests. You said you were just at a guest you were a guest at a show this past weekend, and it went from just like, cool, you know what, I'm gonna go to like Party City and buy a Halloween costume to wear to these events, to people making these elaborate, spending hours and money just putting these elaborate costumes and like armor, weapons, whatever it is, accessories, to it. Where do you see the world of cosplay going with this now? It's grown.
So I see a lot more with like Rhode Island Comic Con or ARE as a whole. I haven't really gone to too many like conventions, so I can't speak for them, but I can speak to the ones that I've gone to. ARE has calming rooms, like in Rhode Island, it's upstairs. There's 2 rooms. It's for people with ASD. I have friends with ASD that know, or people with anxiety, or people with any kind of disability. They know that they can come to my table, and it's a safe space. And it's becoming more acceptable for us to see them, becoming visible. So we're creating that safe space, and we're becoming more inclusive. And I believe that like a lot of these cons and what a lot of us cosplayers and our little cosplay communities are doing is bringing these social issues to the forefront and making it acceptable in a safe place for those people to be. So I'm hoping that these become more inclusive and safe space for all kinds of people, because it's not just for one type of person or anything, but I want to see more representation with the cosplay guests that are shown, because sometimes it's nothing against anybody, believe me, because I am a mixed woman, but they are predominantly white. I haven't seen a lot of Latina. I haven't seen Native American. I haven't seen any of our Asian people. Like, I want to see more. I want a little kid. Like, I have a friend who models, and he came up to me. He's like, "Oh, I don't see a lot of Asians in my community modeling." And I was like, "They'll be the representation you want to see." And that's what I want to see. Is I want to see the younger generation coming up be that representation that they want to see, and create these bigger and safer communities, and create awareness for a lot of things that are around them. I want to see more. We need to have more. We can't keep ourselves in these little bubbles. Our world is not a bubble. We need to pop it within the community cosplaying. Without it, it's not a bubble anymore. We have more people who are louder, and they just need to keep getting louder.
Yeah. And I just want to say here, Jessica Lee Cosplay, they wrote, I'm sure you saw it, cosplaying becomes a family. It really is.
It's like your little clan. It's like your little nerd herd. Jess is actually the one that owns Invisible Heroes of Tomorrow. And we work with a lot of kids on different spectrums. We work with Make-A-Wish. We do things within the community. So we're always there in the forefront of the community, constantly talking about cosplay. Our cosplay characters are not exact. They're not like perfect, like, Princess. Yes, spasms like you, my love. But like, we have, characters of all shapes, sizes, color, creed. It never has to be exact. My tattoo show, when I do Moana, the kids don't care. What they care about is that you're there and you're interacting and you're answering their questions. That's all they care about.
Yeah, and they want to see their favorite characters, and it's even cooler if one of their favorite characters looks like them.
Correct.
And that again, that's the beauty of it. And cosplay, the cosplay community is a family, and this from going to conventions, is always the con is your family too, especially if you're going as a guest, a vendor, an exhibitor, a panelist. It becomes a family. Always look forward to the cosplay contest.
When I'm a guest, I usually have somebody with me. I will run around the entire con and check on all my vendor friends, check on my friends that are volunteering. Celebrity guests that I have done con circuits with, I will go and be like, "Hey, like, are you cool? Like, I have GoPro. Do you need something?" Like, we just, it's constantly, somebody has each other's number. We just sharing at all times. Or I'm getting yelled at to drink water or to sit down, or I need a lot of watching. I'm a giant child at cons. But I do mentor as well, because believe it or not, as many times as I've been to these cons, I have never entered a cosplay contest.
Really?
Nope.
Wow.
I started building with Ray, and I started... I want to go to... Sorry, Maggie asked the question. I want to go to TerraCon and RI HorrorCon. There's a good possibility that I'm going to be there, so don't worry about it.
I didn't even know there was an RA HorrorCon. We were just talking about
Yeah.
TerraCon.
Well, I think she's talking about CT HorrorCon with Sandra Peterson because I cosplay.
Oh, that's the Connecticut HorrorCon. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes. I know that one.
I'm trying to go there because Sandra's going to be there, and I cosplay Elvira. I have an Elvira obsession.
Ah.
But I also have ADHD, so brain's going 500 miles per minute. What was I just saying? Yep, nope, out the window. See.
You were talking about cosplay contests.
I've never competed. So when I started building with Ray, I'd have people start messaging me, "Hey, can you judge this? Can you judge this?" And I just started. And my friend Mel, she gave me a sewing machine, and I'm like, "What is this?" She goes, "I got a new one. You're learning to sew." So now I sew. So I have the building aspect and I have the sewing aspect. I still ask Ray for advice or Helium Cosplay. I ask for advice. I ask advice sometimes from Giveaway Cosplay when I'm working with 3D printed stuff because he is like the best person I know for 3D stuff. So like I still have to ask people for help, or I just glue myself to myself and figure it out. Jeff, my next cosplay convention that I'll be at is in 2 weeks. I will be at Rhode Island Anime Con.
So you mentor young people too, and I mean, I guess I'm sure you mentor other people who are just trying to get into cosplay. For those people who are interested in the world of cosplay, what do you recommend? What's the easiest way, or maybe the most economical way to get into cosplay? Because that's a pretty deep rabbit hole you can get into financially, right?
Oh yeah. So I actually mentored a friend's child, a friend's daughter. She wanted to build a Melanie Martinez cosplay, and she had like done some research and stuff. And what I like to do is I kind of let them build, and if they have questions, ask me questions. I'm not gonna be like, no, that's wrong. You're building this, do it. And her cosplay came out wonderful. But I'm gonna steal this from one of my other friends, Veronica. I can't. Shikigami cosplay. I'm sorry, Shika Goddess cosplay. Veronica's gonna kill me. But found things around the home, boxes. I have seen kids build some crazy cosplays and big, massive weapons out of cardboard, repurpose, reuse. And then you have EVA foam has become cheaper, and you can buy the floor mats that are foam. Still same thing from like things like Harbor Freight or Home Depot. You could use that. You can Kempo Joe is there.
I just saw him too.
He is my sensei. Actually, I have to once my situation's good, I have to go back to him. I study Okinawan weaponry or Kobujitsu with him, which is where I like my twirling and stuff for my staff. That's sensei. But like starting off with buying costumes, there is absolutely nothing wrong with buying a costume and learning how to modify what's already existing. My thing is work smarter, not harder. Go grab things from the thrift store, Savers or whatever third-party store you have at home, and modify it. Start off small. Work smarter, not harder. If it's gonna stress you out, walk away from it. Cosplay is not supposed to be stressful. Building is not supposed to be stressful. The only time it should be stressful is when you hot glue yourself to yourself, which I do often. Actually, I hot glued myself to myself when painting and doing this. So, but like my thing is to start at the level that they're at and try to figure out where they are mentally. Like, because I said, I do talk to kids that are on the spectrum. Some of my best cosplayers for contests have ASD, and they've been in the 12, 13-year-old bracket. I had a girl who was, I'm sorry, they are not girl, they were 15 and they love Five Nights at Freddy, and they made a music box and punched all the holes for the music notes and made it play music. Like the younger, in Maine, there was a 12, the girl is now 13, 14 now, did a Genshin Impact cosplay. She sewed the entire thing herself, did all the embroidery, interfaced the hat, and another woman who's like 28, she sewed and embroidered all the military patches, like more and more creative, because the younger generation, or at least younger than me, they are used to having internet access, and they have all these YouTube tutorials. So it's becoming a lot easier to build, especially with 3D printing and resin printing. So, but work smarter, not harder. Start at the basics. Buy it, modify it, and then when you get used to doing that, start adding more. I'm still having a hard time building weapons, but I still try. I have a keyblade somewhere that I made for my Bowsette. That was my first big weapon. So
Now, you talk about being smarter and just using like those like resource the available resources going to savers, whatever. So we live in this world of social media. Obviously, I'm sure you follow a bunch of cosplayers. I follow cosplayers. Cosplayers follow us. So what is it when a convention is looking for a cosplay guest? What are they really looking for? Because there are so many cosplayers, and again, you see online here,
Oh yeah.
there's a lot of cosplayers who are like, oh, you know what? I do this particular character, but I need all of you on out here watching me to buy me all my wigs, to buy me all my shoes, to buy me all these accessories. How because they're trying to get to a different level of it. Um,
Correct.
what's the best way to become like a guest at this?
So to be honest,
Or monetize it even.
I don't make money with my cosplayers unless I'm selling prints at conventions. I don't have a huge following, but I know all my people. Even if I don't recognize your face right away, tell me it was the last time I met you when I've seen you, and I will let you know. I have kids and people who come to me, hey, I built this last time. Here's where I've improved since the last time I talked to you.
Yeah.
So, but like for me, what I've noticed when people invite me to be a guest, it's because I do have the ability to connect with people with disability. I am that representation. I'm also Black, so I have that representation. But for me, I do a lot of charity work. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always in the community. I'm to be honest, I'm not really sure what these cons are looking for because I have applied for bigger cons and I haven't been accepted. Not because that I'm not good enough or my builds aren't good enough, it's because I don't have the following, which is fine. I will get there one day.
Mm-hmm.
Cosplayers who
Absolutely.
monetize, like you were saying, monetize their cosplay. There's some that I love, like what is her name? Cutie Pie Sensei. I freaking adore her. She has way more followers than I have, and she started her own clothing line, and she's a very strong Black woman to have in the forefront for cosplay. Love her. There's also then you have Demetrius Holt, who's doing the Blurred and Powerful. Nope. Yep. I'm sorry. Yep, Blurred and Powerful, and he tries to bring to the forefront a lot of the Black community stuff. Blurred Cons on. You have a lot of these cosplayers from all these backgrounds that have positive impacts on the community, and to me, that's what cons should be looking for.
Absolutely.
Now, people who cosplayers who throw up here, hey, buy me this. I throw up a list every once in a while. My Mirko cosplay was from Maggie. Maggie bought me that, and she was like, because I'm bodybuilding, she's like, you need to cosplay her. I was like, I haven't got that far in my hero yet. She can get a banana, and she was like, just and wear it. So I did. And I wore it to PAX with my hip brace, and everybody thought it was part of my cosplay because I hadn't gotten that far and realized what had happened to her. Because I'm not going to ruin it for anybody who's not there yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, duh. But I don't have a problem with that. However you make your money is how you make your money. I'm not in your pocket. You're not in my pocket. I don't make a lot cosplaying, but I do network. I do make connections with one-to-one connections with people or connections within my community. I feel like I'm a positive influence, and that's all I want to be. I can't focus on what everybody else is doing. I just got to focus on the impact I make on my community and those around me. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that really goes for any artist. I mean, and again, in this world of social media that we live, it's all about getting those likes, getting the followers. And I mean, you and I were talking about this earlier. Like there are cosplayers, male and female, and um, they and they will do things to kind of push the envelope just to get that but the main thing is that you have to be true to yourself like you do
Mm-hmm.
and like you were saying, you look for the greater good of the community,
Yeah, if I can
with
impact
cosplay and the people that
one
look
or
at you.
two people at a con, that's all that matters to me. If I've made a small impact on somebody's life.
Yeah.
Everything else, if it's supposed to be, it will be. Like I'm going to be starting a nerdy gym line, and for because because I'm in the gym because I'm bodybuilding now as a disabled woman, and I want to figure out. And I got this idea from Paxis, people who have fabric aversions have the alternative
Mhm.
fabric so it's comfortable for them to wear. I do want to focus on the disability needs, try to figure out how I can modify the clothes that I have for people with prosthetics because let's face it, skinny jeans with some prosthetics, and everything skinny leg just doesn't cut it. It's not comfortable with certain prosthetics or disability needs. Um, so I'm doing that. Do I have a large platform? No, but guess what? I'm going to run with it.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. I want to focus on the nerdy stuff that we don't usually focus on nerd society, because they're not catering to the fan. They're just catering to the brand and the demographic of the brand. So I'm trying to pull small little things from the show that fans notice. But that's about it. If I'm supposed to have it, I'm going to have it. I'm going to do it. But I'm not going to sit there and be like, well, I'm a cosplayer, I deserve this. No, you work for everything that you have. That's it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think, there is no, and with any of these things, whether you're an artist or a cosplayer or even a vendor going to the show, you go to it and you kind of just make it what it is, the experience, because nothing is owed to you when you do these events,
No, I'm happy if I make a new networking connection.
Yeah,
that's at the end of it. It's like the tree with its roots. Start your roots, work on your trunk, and then all the branches. It will all come together. They all keep growing, and it just keeps going.
I just wanted to share what Kenpo Joe is writing, because I know the folks on Instagram can't see it. So on our YouTube and Facebook, Kenpo Joe just wrote, "The diversity of her cosplay is a joy, from Darth Talon to One Piece to Elvira. Her security in herself." Fantastic. I mean, just people, and again, I'm just going aside, people who follow you online, they see that, and like you are such a powerful individual and like advocate, I think. Your security in herself and ability to embrace the various characters are credit to her creative thought process. So that was great from Kenpo Joe.
When you guys do this, I'm a very emotional person, and it makes me want my face leaking faces, because everybody else in the community sees me. It's like, I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, like, there's like 700 versions of yourself out there. And I feel like everybody else in the community sees me one way, where I'm always viewing myself in a negative light. And it's like, no, you're not. And I'm just like, you guys are like on something, because I don't see that. But it's good to hear every once in a while, or being told at one of the cons that I have made a positive impact on somebody's life. That's why I cosplay. That's all I care about. Making a difference. That's it. I don't care if I ever make money.
Yeah, it's the love. Doesn't sound weird. It's the love that you bring to it. It's your passion, and it's to inspire. Like you said, one or two people you make a difference with at a convention.
Oh yeah, it lasts a long time.
Yeah, and like you said, networking, friendships. That's what it's all about when you do these things.
Yep.
So now I'm gonna ask you, as a cosplay artist, right? And again, we see a lot of people at conventions. Do you the difference between people cosplaying known characters, or people like you're maybe saying gender swapping, or doing some kind of weird variation? Like, I saw this great cosplay one time. The guy had a transformer. He built like a transformer mystery machine costume, right? And then he had like little action figures of the Scooby Gang in there. So it was like the mystery machine was a transformer. Your thoughts on doing original stuff, or doing more licensed things, or doing some kind of weird like vampire hybrid?
I love it all, because so at Main Extravaganza, I was just that. I did 2 of my original characters. So the first night I did, it was a mermaid. Obviously, being a black mermaid with Ariel, everyone thought I was Ariel, and I was like, no, I actually swim in a mermaid tail. This is one I had to retire. But I do swim in a mermaid tail. It's old. It's older than Sin, and yeah, it has a hole in it, so I can't really swim in it anymore. So I call that mermaid character Ursula. And then the second day, I was my own version of a Sith Lord that I called Darth Cinna, and I used holy monkey, Ventress's sabers for that, and you see me twirling on my video. I love when cosplayers do their own characters or mashup characters, even if they don't. Even the mashup doesn't make sense to you, it makes sense to them, because it opens up a pathway for a conversation between fandoms, or it opens up a conversation as to why they connect with their own personal character, and you get to know a little bit more about that person. Like, I love playing villains, absolutely love it. I know it's not, I do Rita Repulsa in an indie film. It has not come out yet. Still working on it. Editing and stuff and personal life stuff has gotten in the way. Can you please go lay down, my four-legged child? Um, that is my Great Dane. Um, but like, I love being a villain because in my personal life, I am not a villain. I am not an angry person. It gives you the ability to be and pretend something that you're not. And those mashups allow you to cross two of your favorite things that will start. Like I said, it opens up a dialogue. It starts a conversation. So it's always cool, especially some of the original characters that I've seen. Like there was this little girl this weekend, and she was a purple princess. And she was just covered head to toe in purple. And that was her character because she likes purple and princess.
Purple princess. Perfect.
Purple princess. And she won the kids contest.
That's great.
And she's usually shy and won't do things without her mom. And she twirled and she was talkative of telling you all about her purple princess. It gets you out of your shell. It opens a dialogue and a conversation and creates a safe space for you to geek out. I'm all for it. There's a cosplayer in here that I love. Crafty Contraptions. Met them at PAX East. They do Mandos that they mix with Eevees. Or they did a Puerto Rican flag for a Puerto Rican flag for a Puerto Rican parade, and I think it was New York. They'd had Puerto Rican Mandos. Everybody loved it. Everybody loves their Mando Eevee. It's all in the love and the passion of it. I'm all for it.
So you mentioned your editing. I know you were talking about art before. So outside, and you said you're a model, and I know you kind of do a lot of things outside of the world of cosplay. What else are you doing creatively? Tell me about the film art.
So the film we started. Sorry, you're probably hearing a weird noise. That is, I have a pet pigeon. I have weird pets. Please bear with me.
Oh, that's what that is?
Yeah, that is Imhotep. That is my pet pigeon.
That's hilarious. It's great.
It's just because he hears my voice and he wants to come out, but he'll just be sitting on my head and just drives me nuts. But I model. I do karaoke. I want to take it over and actually, say I can sing because I'm a chicken. And when I go do karaoke unless I'm like rapping like Mike Shinoda, I hide. Like I'll wear wigs and I hide, or I have a hood up, or I'm like this. I've always been like that. I was in chorus as a kid, but it was easier because I was in a large crowd. So I model, I sing, I dance, I draw, I write poetry. I'm in my friend's line. It's called Vlada. I wrote, and then it's I believe it's Tales of the Dark. He's gonna kill me. Please forgive me, Chris. But I am I'm in that. I wrote a short story on the backstory on Anastasia von Helsing. So I'm a writer. I'm a mom. I'm in college right now for my bachelor's in integrative medicine. I already hold a degree in herbal studies, master herbalist. I hold a degree in holistic healthcare practices, my certificate in natural spa product manufacturing, and my end goal is to have my doctorate in integrative medicine. I want to be able to treat people with MDDs, which are manic depressive or major depressive disorders, with psilocybin, which is a psychotropic that helps with those things that SSRIs don't necessarily touch. So herbal medicine's my passion as well. I do a lot of things. Like usually I forget the things that I can do. I build all the props for Power Rangers Dark Unity. I do FX makeup. I did FX on another indie film. It was a Spider-Man one where I got to work with Kevin Porter. I just worked on I act, so I just worked on another film. I don't know if that was coming out. I just did voiceover stuff. I'm getting into that. I have another film coming up that I'm going to be in. Usually it's like, hey, Chandra, do you? It's either yes or no. I do. There is an extensive list, and I have ADHD, and I just can't sit here and rattle it off. And as weird as it sounds, I feel like I'm bragging. So I don't.
Listen, you're very well versed.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I just saw like some of the stuff. I didn't know you were doing medicine and all. Holy moly.
Yeah, herbal medicine is my heart. It's my heart. I'm big into it. I'm also Native American.
Wow.
So I've always done the herbalist stuff. My grandfather has taught me about it, like, wild crafting, going out and identifying herbs and what herbs we use for this. But like coming up in a society where it's easy to just Google things and where all these MLMs are coming up with essential oils, people just like, okay, you're just a crackpot. So it was just easier for me to go to school and actually have a certificate being like, yes, I can do this. This is what I'm really good at. I graduated all of my degrees with honors because I'm a book nerd.
That's great. And the big part that goes along with all that stuff, and especially like the creative aspect of it. But I'd even say the herbal things, because you said you did a convention regarding around some of the herbal stuff. The key word there is networking. All these things open up doors, and you make all these connections. You never know where one path will lead to another. So I
Correct.
think
I'm
that
able to help people with anxiety at the cons, help them calm down, show them pressure points, do breathing exercises with them, and it helps.
yeah, and there is definitely a place for that. So no, I
Absolutely.
mean, you're a well-rounded person, so and again, people watching too, and this shows you there's just more to, like, oh, I'm a cosplayer, hey, I like to go to conventions and dress up. No, people are individuals. They bring something, they bring a value with them. Everybody, talk about diversity, everybody has something in them that's worthwhile,
Correct.
and that's really what it comes down to. Jonathan wants to know, what are other villain roles that you'd like to play that you haven't played as of yet?
I love horror. I want to be the crazy psycho killer. Why? I don't know, because they usually die anyway. But I've always been throwing it out there because you don't see it. Like, I'm like, you need to do a movie where like a group of friends goes in the woods and they bring the disabled friend because they feel bad for her, and then everybody starts, and she's the first person to die. Then everybody else starts dying, and then at the end, the disabled person was the killer. And they're just like, you need help. Like, no, there's no disabled killers. Usually it's people with like mental health problems, but there's no physical issues where I always want to do that. I just like being like I said, just like being a villain. So any villainous roles I love.
I'm just gonna can I just interrupt you for a second too? I like that idea, but I also like the idea of the person with the disability being the hero of the story too.
Yeah.
Because you think like, oh wow, this person can't run, but yet they're the one that like kicks ass at the end. That'd be fantastic.
Yes. I love because of Power Rangers Dark Unity, I got to work with Justin Ortiz and Jules Ortiz. They're actually they do stunt coordination in bigger roles. Like Jules was in she was in Black Panther. She was in a Namor scientist. She did double stuff for that, and stunt work. Justin has been in Cobra Kai, but I love doing parts that have martial arts roles in it because I like the fighting aspect. And I did martial arts as a kid, and I started doing it again as an adult. And like I said, I really, really, really need to go back because I miss it. I just need to calm down my inner life for a little bit. But I love martial arts roles. More people of color in the martial arts roles, which is why Urban Action Showcase is a great venue because it allows you to bring those roles to the forefront or people who have done that. So martial arts and horror, and maybe even being like a fantasy creature thing. I have an overactive imagination. That's another good one.
Nice. Let's talk about conventions because I know we're coming up to the end here. So you said you're going to the Rhode Island Con. What other the Rhode Island Anime Con? What other cons are on your schedule for the remainder of 2023? We're halfway
don't know
through, right?
if I can bring the con after that up. But I know that I will be going to a few local ones. I'll just post them when they come up because with some cons, when you're a guest, you can't say before they say. So I can't really say like too much as to where I'm going to be guest. But as far like
So
as far as
tuned
hanging out.
Oh, we lost her for a moment. Sorry, folks. We'll be right back with Blunnderland. I don't know what happened here. Anyways, folks, who are watching, and she should hopefully be back with us in a moment. Make sure that you follow Blunnderland. Make sure you follow Incredicon HV. Oh, and she just left. We lost her. Make sure you follow her. Follow me. And follow Incredicon HV. Follow Blunnderland. And I on the YouTube feed. We're sorry about that too, folks. Thank you for tuning in for IncrediChat. If she comes back on, we'll pop back on here. So thank you again, for everybody, for just checking us out tonight. And we just lost her there too. So yeah, make sure you follow Blunnderland. Make sure you follow Incredicon HV. We'll be back. very soon with some more IncrediChats. We're working on some really good guests, and we will see you all soon. Check us out. Check out the other podcasts that we have, and we'll have a good night, everybody. Thanks.